Hi, I'm Scott Anderson with Kelley Connect. It seems like more and more breaches are happening daily, and so we just think it's critical. Obviously we're doing things technically behind the scenes to protect the organization from a technical standpoint, but the other side of that is really what we all need to do to keep the organization safe, and a lot of that I think just starts with awareness. So going to go through a deck today of just some different security pieces to keep things front of mind for us, and talk through some examples and some things we're seeing. So thought we'd just start with the why. Why do we even have to have this conversation? Why are we targets, essentially? And you hear all the time, why me? Why my organization? I'm just a small business. Why do people care about me? And so why smaller organizations are target is first of all budget, right? Small businesses spend much less on security than the big organizations, right? Who is going to have a more robust security program and security infrastructure? Microsoft or ABC? Probably Microsoft, right? They have the money to invest in those things. IT skill, aged equipment, unpatched devices. So when we look at small organizations without a robust IT department or IT organization, a lot of the breaches in the news recently, I don't know if you've seen the Microsoft Exchange breach, which was huge recently. That was all over servers not being patched, just not doing the proactive maintenance to patch their servers. And a lot of times just small businesses don't believe it'll happen to them. And unfortunately, security is an event-driven business where most people don't take action on security until they've had that event. So our goal is to A, take action before we have the event, and then B, keep it front of mind as well. So who are the victims? 24% of breaches are against healthcare, 15% on accommodation or food services, 14% public entities. But the big kicker here is almost 60% of breaches happen in small business, right? Big number happens in small business. So how are these attacks happening? I think it's key to understand how they're happening because it'll keep us more aware as we move forward. So we know attacks are constant. Big thing is some of these percentages, statistics. 93% of phishing emails involve ransomware. 93% involve ransomware. Ransomware is a big business, right? People are making a lot of money through ransomware. Sophia.
What is ransomware?
Great question. I'll jump into that now, and then we'll even get into it a little deeper. So ransomware, think of, everybody's familiar with a virus, right? A virus comes to your machine. What ransomware is a type of virus that when it runs, when it executes, it encrypts files on your computer. And the only way to decrypt these files is with a key. And the only way you get the key from the bad guys is to send them Bitcoin. So they are holding your data ransom for Bitcoin, and then you're essentially taking the chances, even if you pay them in Bitcoin, you're taking the chances that they will send you the key to unlock your files. So it's scary because if the security solution doesn't stop the ransomware, the only other thing you have other than paying the Bitcoin is restoring from a backup. So kind of the last point of return after security is that backup and continuity piece. So that's what ransomware is. Social engineering is the norm. So phishing is big because social engineering is the norm. You probably see a lot of phishing emails that look like they're from somebody you know or an organization you know. So social engineering is happening behind the scenes. Another big statistic, 91% of cyber attacks, so 91% of breaches start through phishing. So people think of hacking a lot, right? And they think somebody's hacking into our network. That is not happening a lot, right? What I can tell you is people are not targeting ABC's firewall and trying to get in because they want to get into ABC, right? they're taking the numbers game approach and sending out millions of emails and hoping that somebody clicks on it, downloads something to their computer, and then they're able to get in that way. 90% are human error. And I think a big one here is 50% of small businesses consider training a necessity. What I wish I had the statistic for is how many businesses actually do it. So when Wendy and I were talking, and love the ability to get in front of our client base and just keep security front of mind, because most organizations don't invest the hour every so often to keep it front of mind. So very, very valuable. And again, following up with 91% of breaches start with the phishing attack. So want to spend some time talking about types of phishing attacks and just talking about how do we prevent being phished, essentially. In phishing, you could call it business email compromise. Also is something you'll hear, business email compromise. And back to, we'll touch on Sophia's question a little more. What is ransomware? So two types of phishing: credential harvesting phishing and malicious payload phishing. Completely different types and geared to do two different things. And I think it's key that we understand the two types so that as we're looking at emails flowing through our system regularly, we understand that it's not just the ransomware we're concerned about. So first type, credential harvesting. Essentially, credential harvesting is someone who is sending you an email and they're wanting you to enter your credentials into a fake website. So maybe a link comes through, it looks like an Office 365 email, and it says your password needs to be reset or your OneDrive is almost full. Click here to enable more storage. Click here to reset your password. It then takes you to a website that looks somewhat legitimate. You enter your credentials. Guess what? It's not going to unlock your password. It's not going to give you more storage. The bad guys just got your credentials, and now they have access to your business Microsoft 365 account and can essentially conduct business on your behalf. So we see this a lot with Microsoft accounts, with Google accounts, with iCloud accounts. We're seeing it a lot in financial services industry. So have seen a very bad Wells Fargo attack like this. And the bad guys are good enough that the Wells Fargo one I saw was an email that looked like it was from Wells Fargo, but the domain name was not Wells Fargo. It was WE11S Fargo. So from a distance, it still looked like Wells Fargo. And when you clicked the link, it was almost exactly the same as the Wells Fargo website. So they pretty much imitated it, right? So it's, again, big business behind the scenes here that these guys are doing. So credential harvesting are emails that are trying to get your credentials so they can act on your behalf. Malicious payload phishing is back to that ransomware idea. Malicious payload phishing is they're trying to get you to download something, download a detachment, click a link. A lot of times you'll see an email and it might say invoice or purchase order or something. Once you download that attachment, either that attachment's going to run and it's going to run as an executable file that will have ransomware or some sort of virus in it and will start doing bad things immediately. Other times you'll run it and nothing bad will happen immediately, but it essentially was a door to let the bad guys in, and more the bad guys are hanging out on machines for 10, 20, 30, 60 days, checking out the environment before they actually initiate bad stuff. So malicious payload, again, is downloading a bad payload of some sort. One of the reasons they're doing this is we just talked about with ransomware, the last point of return is restore from backup, right? Unless you want to pay with Bitcoin. So what the bad guys are doing is getting in the environment at times, and then they're searching the environment and looking for backups. They're deleting backups and then deploying their ransomware out so that you have less choice of saying, we're not going to pay your ransom, we're going to restore from backups. So again, smarter and smarter these guys are. So I think it's powerful also is talking about real world. So we've done some phishing tests. So send out test email campaigns to some clients and wanted to see how they responded. So with this client, we sent out 265 fake emails. These were Microsoft 365 emails. They were fake from our system, so not bad phishing. I'd call this good phishing if that's a thing. 265 fake ones. Of those, 153 were opened. 44 different people out of 265 clicked the link in the email, the fake link, and 28 of them, so roughly 12% of the people entered their Microsoft 365 credentials into a fake website. So bad guys would have had those credentials. So this is just kind of real world example. I could go through a 40 user company, but this is essentially the first test with no awareness training, and we typically see this type of engagement. It really happens until it becomes front of mind. What happened with this client was after training, after a discussion like this, running the same test, the people in the office told me the next time, they had people standing up in their cube saying, hey, don't click on this email, it's phishing. And so we want to encourage the idea, right? Security is a culture and keeping it front of mind. So the goal being, and it's tougher when we're remote, right? But the goal when I'm in the office or maybe through Teams when I'm remote is, hey, I just did something bad. I just clicked a phishing email. I entered my credentials. I downloaded something. The thing people want to do is kind of slide down in their chair and hope nobody knows about it. What we need people to do is raise their hand, stand up in your cube, send a Teams chat out. Hey, watch out for this email. I just clicked it. It looks real, right? So keeping it front of mind and creating that security culture is how it's going to keep all of us more safe. So some phishing examples here. If you can see these. So this was one that a client forwarded to me. This was kind of funny. I was just talking to this client same week about Microsoft 365. And they did not want to go to Microsoft 365. They're kind of cloud averse. This was a couple years ago. So he gets this email, he forwards it to me, and then calls and leaves me a not so fun voicemail, mad that we moved him to Office 365 because it kind of says something about that. And I looked at it and I said, Dan, the domain name that the email's from is from Elite Construction. That's clearly phishing, right? So one of the first places to look when you are questioning, is this email real or not, is at the domain name. So this one is very clear, but the Wells Fargo example is something we're seeing more and more, is replacing L's with I's, letters like that can be changed and from a distance still look real. Couple other phishing examples. These were sent to me, I believe. It's got the Office 365 logo. They're not perfect, but if you're moving quickly, you could see them. Again, different domain name than should be expected. So one of the first places to look, domain name. This one is one of my favorites because this was actually a test that we ran against my IT team of 50 plus people. So this was a test we ran internally. It's a LinkedIn email. And we had internally, and this is for people who are trained regularly, like I hate to say this because it's kind of embarrassing, so this has got to stay between these walls. We had, I think it was pushing like a 50+% click rate on this email in our organization because A, the domain name is LinkedIn Communication, so it looks legit. But B, and this is my own thought, so lot of single nerds that work with me, and pretty gal saying, I want to connect with you on LinkedIn, right? Everybody this day thought they were on top of the world, so it was Click City. But just another reason people were clicking. And This domain name, though, again, this is really good. The domain name here is LinkedIn Communication. LinkedIn doesn't have a domain name called LinkedIn Communication. Their domain name is just LinkedIn. But again, a way people can spoof a domain name or buy a different domain name that looks the same. We had a lot of disappointed guys in our office that day. The problem is that used to be really, really easy to spot. Phishing used to be. It's much harder now because, again, these people that are doing this is big business. They've got educated people doing the phishing now. So, but that definitely still things to look for: spelling, grammar, punctuation, just the way the email's written, and determining, does this sound like standard English, I guess, and then just, always knowing when it is, any type of financial or change to account or something. How do you validate it through a second means, right? Phone, text, something otherwise. I think one more or two more phishing examples, just because, again, phishing's 91% of breaches. This one, fake Amazon. So just some different things to look for here. One where it says, "Dear client." Every email marketing program in the world, especially the one Amazon's using, has a database where it can pull your name from, right? So if it's generic, it's probably going out to a bazillion people and they're just shotgunning it, hoping you click. So if Amazon, if Nike, if Microsoft don't have your name in it, probably a red flag. Another thing is the link. So links in email, whether the link is www. Or whether it's just a hyperlink that somebody used some words for, if you hover your mouse over that, it'll show you where it's actually going. So anybody can type www.amazon.com in an email. It doesn't mean that when you click on that, it's going to take you there. So if you hover your mouse over the link before clicking it, it will show you where it's actually going to take you. So one of the way the bad guys do it, they just disguise links in emails all the time so it can look good for your eyes, but when you click, will take you to the wrong spot. And then again, this one, the domain name, always looking at the domain name. That I think in this one, the A is not even there because it's right after an @ symbol. So continuing to look at the domain name. Okay, maybe one more phishing example. So again, iTunes, the biggest phished companies or using their logos phishing is Apple, Google, Microsoft, right? Because everybody's got an account probably on one of those three, worldwide. So another one, this one's talking about iTunes. In this one, another piece is the rush, right? Urgency. Urgency is something that creates clicks. So in this case, it looks pretty good. We can't tell where the domain name's coming from, but it says within 48 hours, right? Within 48 hours or your account's going to be suspended. So it's trying to get you to act urgently. And another example, a real world example in my world, and again, I'm training on this all the time. I was working with a bank just around a banking relationship, and I got a DocuSign from them on a Tuesday, right around noon. Sent me a DocuSign. Signing this bank document was not on the top of my priority list on that Tuesday. So I left it in my email. I swear to you, almost exactly 24 hours later on Wednesday, I'm kind of in this email power hour. I'm getting caught up. I'm just jamming through email, responding, moving, getting stuff done. And all of a sudden, DocuSign email comes in again, like almost exactly 24 hours later. So in my mind, because I'm working this quick, just kind of getting caught up, in my mind is, and this is like in a split second, is, oh, they sent me one yesterday. I didn't sign it yet. It auto sent 24 hours later. So I open it, click it, start signing it, and realize, oh, this doesn't look right. But it caught me at kind of an urgent state and just a state where I was just jamming, so I didn't even think about it. So it's those other things also, right? It's urgency. It's slow down while we're doing any of those type of tasks. And so phishing, all those reasons, right? Phishing's 91% of breaches start with phishing. Why? Right? It's not about me or you. It's because it's a numbers game. It's the easiest medium to get out in front of a ton of people, and it's playing the numbers game. Somebody is going to click, right? Somebody is going to click, and when they do, either maybe they have some valuable information, maybe they don't. Maybe I get good credentials, maybe I don't. Maybe I get ransomware in the computer, maybe I don't. But it's the ability to send out a ton of messaging and get some click rates there. So again, these phishing marketing people have better click rates than the best marketers in the world. So they're doing good stuff from a marketing standpoint to get people to click. So it's not about us, it's a matter of numbers game. So with that said, what do we do, right? What do we do? That's a lot out there. What do we do? First thing, one thing to talk about is just passwords. Password hygiene, what to do with passwords. So a couple just nevers. Never tell anyone your password and never write it down. Plain and simple, those are nevers. And if you think it's compromised, always notify the help desk. Let's get it changed immediately, right? If you even think it's compromised. So let's say you did click that link and started typing in your password, don't even know if you hit submit because you figured it out, change your password. It doesn't hurt to change your password, right? And secondly, create strong passwords. So except you can tell the help desk or your IT person your password. Only an exception. Okay, don't be nodding at yes. I just told you never tell anybody your password. Never tell anybody your password. So couple of reasons. So IT can change your password. So there's no reason they should ever ask for your password or you should ever give it to them because they can just reset it for you. So typically, though, what I've got called out for before is, hey, Scott, some of your guys have asked me for my password. So I'm telling you right now, if any of our people ask for your password, it's because they were being lazy in the moment. And it's easier to do that than it is to reset your password, which takes about 12 more seconds. So don't give anybody your password. The reason for that is the minute somebody else has your password, they can act on your behalf, right? So you give my team your password, and I trust my team, but you give my team your password, they can now access anything on your behalf, send an email on your behalf, delete a file on your behalf. So just don't give your password out. Just be okay asking somebody to reset it if they need to. You bet, Tony.
What about password managers that can help with tracking those?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, and writing it down, and the non-consequential part too is that's a tough topic because the problem with that, right, when we've got 50 different logins is we're probably reusing passwords at some point. So then the idea is, well, maybe this website's not consequential, but if somebody sees that password, they could get somewhere else. So yeah, we definitely recommend a password manager. LastPass is a great one. There's a free LastPass edition. And what a password manager does is you create one really strong password. And this password manager has a plugin for your browser. It's got a phone app. So you create one really strong password, and then as you go to websites, it automatically creates your passwords that you don't have to remember. And it creates really strong passwords, and it changes them regularly. Great questions. Just some common passwords for your reference. Check this list out. Hopefully your password is not on this list somewhere. I think these were the most common, I don't know if it was 30 at this point in time. Pop quiz. Which password is stronger of these two passwords? So it used to be, and it's still out there, right? Anytime you go to a website, they want a capital, a number, a symbol, something else, right? But when it really comes down to a math game, longer is better. It really doesn't have to do with characters. So it's really changing from password to passphrase. And part of the way we look at that is how long does it take to crack your password? And really it's just some sort of algorithm that the bad guys are going to use. And so we can see based on numbers, upper and lowercase letters and symbols, we have seven characters there. So a password cracking tool could crack that in 17 hours, is what's that saying. And the one that should be easier to remember also, ball hit in red sun. This was me at 11 p.m. one night looking around my living room, and I saw my kid's ball and something hidden, and I don't know what else I saw, but saw those 4 words. So it could be a passphrase that you can remember is a bunch more letters, and it's all lowercase, but because it is 16 letters, it takes 512 million years to crack that password with a password generating tool. So it really is more about length than it is about complexity. So as you're creating password, whether it's for your network, whether it's for your websites, the problem we get is, well, places still do need caps and they do still want exclamation points and such. So I've just gotten the point of it. I use passphrase, but I'm going to capitalize the first letter and I'm going to put some sort of exclamation point or something at the end to key on that. But otherwise, it's just words between it to make it longer is better. I've got one guy in our office who he types in his password. I swear it's a sentence with spaces in it, but dude's never getting cracked. So longer is better. So how to prevent business email compromise, how to prevent phishing, be skeptical, right? Always be skeptical and don't work fast. Don't click it. So don't just click it, right? Verify what you're being asked to do and make contact. Double check the URL we talked about. Hover your mouse over the URL or the hyperlink, right? And confirm that it is taking you to where you expect to go. Spelling counts, right? Spelling, grammar, punctuation. Make sure it sounds like somebody who you would typically be doing business with. Same with the domain name. Spelling counts. It's I's, not L's. L's, not ones. Verify the email address, right? Make sure it is this true email address, especially when using mobile devices, right? Real easy on the mobile devices. I heard earlier, it might have been Melissa mentioning that the sun was in her eyes on a walk when she read the email because she read it on a small screen, right? So mobile devices can make it easier to click things. And pay attention, right? There's typically clues somewhere, right? Whether it's an employee who doesn't normally interact with the CEO and the CEO is now asking for gift cards. You see them in one location now, different activities from somebody who should be on vacation. Typically clues, again, if you slow down for a second. And we talked about standing up in your cube or raising your hand in Teams or sending a chat in Teams. A security culture means it's okay to say, I was the one who just got breached, right? We'd rather say that than let all 12 of us, all 8 of us on the call get breached. So be cool with being the one who stands up and says, hey, I clicked first today, my bad, and save everybody else, and then work to get it resolved rather than let it go through the whole organization. And then report suspicious events. So you can't log in. You could log into your computer yesterday and you can't today. Could be a breach. Computer's running crazy slow. Again, could be that you need a new computer. Could be, oh, there's something on my machine that is slowing it down. You see documents changed, a different extension to it or looks different, or just receiving attachments, right, from somebody you don't know. Report those suspicious events. And otherwise, any questions, please reach out. And thanks, everybody, for the questions. Appreciate them.
Thank you, Scott.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go change all my passwords.
Okay, thanks, buddy. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.